months ago at a World Summit, so I'm in the process of trying to choose a good journal to publish in. So I was going to send it to you, but we didn't quite get there, but I'll send it to you later. So I just wanted to mention that, first of all, the word recovery in itself, for some people, is actually one of the contentious words. The word recovery is contested because many people who are really against that biomedical, biodeterminist theory of mental illness say that, well, I wasn't sick, so therefore the word recovery is not appropriate for me. So, like Professor Kathy Boxall, who's a guest lecturer on the LEE units, one of the first things she said in her speech is that this isn't about recovery because I didn't recover. There's nothing wrong with me, so recovery is not a fitting word for me. And I guess I identify that, but I have another view on it, that sometimes the word recovery is seen that you're supposed to go back to the way that you were before you had all this distress and all these experiences. And I would argue, for me personally, I certainly didn't go back to who I was 11 years before this journey happened, and I'd argue that a lot of us probably don't. So, you know, recovery, rehabilitation, you know, if your leg's been plastered, then yeah, you go back to how you were before, and that's the goal. But I think many clinicians are still in this mindset that they've got to get you back to a pre-morbid functioning, which is just a awful phrase. But I don't think a lot of us do go back, and for me, not only did I not go back to who I was before, but with everything that I've learned and everything I've experienced and all my personal growth and my development and my journey, I fought really hard to become who I am. And so if I could go back to recovering to who I was before, would I want to? I don't think I would. I'm quite happy with where I am. So there's this kind of concept in recovery that it's a linear process. So we start at one side of the line, and as we get better and more well, we graduate and we go up the line, and there's this complete sort of exponential journey where you just sort of start here, this is ill, and then you go up there and there's like this end point where you've, you know, once you've reached here, you're recovered. So it's a pretty reductionist kind of concept. I call it the linearity concept, but that's Phoebeism. It's just linearity is a real word, but the linearity concept is actually a mathematical thing, but I kind of extrapolated it to mental health. So it's just a Phoebeism, and you'll get your own isms probably after this course, and if you do the LEE as well, you'll get all your own isms. So the problem with this linearity concept is that our experiences mould us as we go along, and we're always growing. So you've probably seen these PowerPoint slides before, right? Here's the expectation, recover up there, and the reality for a lot of us is this kind of, these exit and entry points, and it kind of looks more like that. And the only thing with this linearity concept is it tends to elicit this really negative attitude to relapse, this term relapse. And the term relapse is something that I just have often had quite a problem with, because I've heard clinicians saying, oh, that guy, he was doing so well, and then it all went wrong and he relapsed, and it was such a shame because we'd gotten him to here and now he's just right back there. And I often try to say to him, he's not right back there, he's in a completely new experience, he's learning new things, and relapse doesn't have to be this awful negative thing that we have to avoid at all costs. It's actually a learning opportunity. We're learning new things that we haven't encountered before. We're learning what might work, what doesn't work, what ended us up there. We're still growing. So I have this sort of theory that we're always going forward. The path to recovery is always in front of us. I do feel like I've fallen into a crack sometimes, and I've slipped down, and I've got to find a way to pull myself out. But I didn't backstep. I'm not going anywhere else. I'm not going behind me anywhere else. I'm actually still, you know, forward-facing to my recovery. So the word relapse, actually Latin a derivative. So re means backwards, and lapse means to slip. And I guess because I studied a lot of Latin, and you know, I love language, which is why I loved our last workshop. So that's why I kind of don't like the term relapse, because it's this theory that we failed. We did something wrong, and we've gone backwards. And I guess to finish off this section, there's a wonderful article by Pat Randall, 2009, where this spiral diagram is what's called the recovery model. It's like a recovery model, where you start at birth here, and the spirals of experiences and growth. And you could put it, you could invert it, you could do it diagonally, it doesn't matter which way the spiral goes. But you have experiences at some point. You're going to have a crisis, which they actually postulate that's the opportunity, that's the learning then. And eventually your distress reduces. But the reason why I like this theory is that if we were here and we apparently relapsed and dropped down a few coils, we don't really go backwards, because the learning that's happened from here to here and these experiences, when we're here, we've changed. We've learned and we've grown. So even if we theoretically went backwards, we would not be at the same point that we were before this happened. So I really, really love that article. Yeah, recovery is one of the subjects that we all love because it's so individual and personal to us. But there are great articles out there that you might want to read and really relate to. So I think that was pretty much how we for time.